So this is that introduction to Unity. I've got as far as this screen. Presumably you've made an account to get this far. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call it Intro 2 because I've already made one called Intro. And I'm going to choose a location to save it. It doesn't like it if you've got the / internal dot whatever, so you need to choose a drive with a drive letter. I'm just going to drop mine into my Unity folder, and I'm actually going to make a brand new folder just for this. I'm going to call it Intro 2, why not? Go into there, select folder, and hit Create Project, which shouldn't take a moment. So this is the sort of default layout of all the various windows. You can change them and lose them and so on. But this one's normally fine. It's got everything that you need to be able to see on it. The main change that you would want to make is you want to have the Inspector tab over here highlighted. And you'll also want to be in the Scene in this tab here. So this is the default space where we're going to have the actual game. There's going to be everything that we want in it. This is kind of this bit over here shows all the things that are currently in the scene. So we've got a camera looking at stuff, and we've got a light at the moment, which isn't enough to really have a game. So if I just right click here, this is a thing that you do a lot in create a thing we're going to have in our game. I'm going to put a terrain in here, which will just be our ground. So we've got some ground here. Terrains are good because you, as people found out in the last lesson, you can add hills and trees and all kinds of other stuff. So it's just a quick and easy way of just having something you can move around on. It doesn't put it in a great place to begin with, so this is an opportunity to just look at what the inspector does. You can see because I've got the terrain selected here, it shows me the properties of that terrain. And it shows me the position, rotation and scale. Position is the thing that interests us for the moment. It's dropped it as 0, 0, 0 in the world, in the coordinate system of the world, which is mildly inconvenient for what we want. We actually want to move the x coordinate and the z coordinate so that anything else will drop at 0, 0, 0, which is kind of the default position, will actually be in the middle of a large space rather than on the corner and likely to fall off any moment. Now I'm going to add a new thing. So again, right click over here and 3D object sphere. I have a sphere. There it is. And again, I can change properties of it. So you see as I drag it around, the position changes over here. And I can also change the scale of it, so I can make it a lot bigger. Let's make it a lot bigger, 333. So that the unit size, the default size is 111. I've made it 333, which is way bigger. Now, one thing that some people found was you have to be really careful about this view over here. It looks like it's just showing you the basic things, but there is a hierarchy as well. So, for instance, I can drag the sphere onto the terrain, and what that does, it makes it a child of the terrain, which doesn't seem to have made an effect here, but it can be a real pain if you're not aware of that. So when you change the position of one thing, so if I was to change the position of the terrain, the sphere would kind of move alongside it. So I'm going to drag that away from there, and you can see it's just gone back to that sort of default tab level, which means it's no longer a child of the terrain. That was just a mistake I saw quite a lot the other day. So it's still not much of a game. I can't really do anything yet, so I'm going to add in an asset. So Unity is a game development platform, and they've got lots of things, the standard stuff that you want to have in a game, so you don't have to completely reinvent the wheel every single time. So you can import these various things. So there's stuff like vehicles that you can import, and particle systems, and there's stuff in the environment. You can explore that for yourself, quite an interesting thing to do, but the useful thing in this case is the characters, and it gives us all this list of things that we can import, and we're going to import a lot. So that's going to import us a first person character, so we've got that first person view. It's also going to import a third person character as well, which is a character that will just run and jump and all the rest of it. We're not actually going to use that in this game. It's easy enough to set up so he'll respond to your key and mouse and so on, but you have to get a camera to follow him, and you can do that, but it means you have to do a bit of googling around it and set that up. I find that in Unity I spend probably 80% of my time googling how to do stuff and looking on the forums and all the rest of it. You really can't make any progress towards making your own game until you're prepared to spend time looking on Google for various solutions. So what this has done, I've now got my project browser down here, which is not the same as this browser. This is the scene, so it's just showing me the things that are in the scene. These are all the things that are in the project, so you might have many scenes with lots of different stuff, and this browses all the things that you can put in there. So these are the standard assets I've just imported, and what I imported was a characters, and there's that third person character. But in the first person character folder, the prefabricated objects. So they've prefabricated the thing that we want, which I happen to know is the FPS controller. So I'm going to drop it into this space here. I could drop it here, but then it kind of drops it in a fairly random position. So I actually prefer to just drop it over here, and it will put it at 0, 0, 0 for me. As you can see, a 0, 0, 0. So it's a good idea to kind of try and work around that 0, 0, 0 position as much as possible, otherwise you get a bit lost. And you'll notice that I haven't made it a child of anything or child of the sphere, or that would be ridiculous. It would be just annoying. It's top levels on its own, just re-emphasizing that point. So FPS controller at 0, 0, 0, and now if I hit play, here I am in the world, WASD. Yeah, I've got a kind of, well, it's a bit of a game. Yeah, let's do some more things. This sphere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify some aspects of it. So you've got if you remember, I've created it, and there's all these basic objects that you can include, but then you can modify certain properties of them. So for instance, I can change it to be a bouncy material in terms of its collider. So a collider is just, how it detects interactions with other objects and so on. So this just makes it bounce off other things rather than just stick. I'm going to add a component as well. There's lots of things that I can add to any object. Many things. Look, so many. But what I'm going to add here is the one that I know is going to make it something that I can do physics with. So it'll bounce off things and I can push it around and it'll push me around and that kind of thing. So that's a rigid body. So it's now got a rigid body behavior. So I've got a feeling that if I hit play now, yeah, because it's a rigid body, it's got physics, and because it's bouncy, it bounces off things, and also it bounces off me. There it goes off into the distance. So that's pretty useful. Some people complaining about lack of color. I'm going to create a new asset here. I'm going to drop it into the top level of my assets folder. So remember we were doing create over here, or this is a handy place to create stuff that you get to drop into the scene. This is all the assets for the whole project. So I'm going to right click in here and I can create a bunch of other stuff as well. And one of those things is a material. And I'm going to give it a name. It's going to be my blue ball material, because I'm going to click over here in my inspector, and yep, I've now made a material which I can drag onto the sphere, and the sphere is now blue. So that was pretty much everything that I wanted to cover in the first video, and there's a second video coming on in a minute.